What's going on, everybody? It is your guy Baddog here with another edition of Giants Collective. I think this is episode 83 as we count down to the big 100 spot. I can't believe we've done over 80 of these episodes already. It seems like just yesterday we started. And of course, when we started, I think we had the same record last year. I think we were 2-8. So we've really improved here. Well, the show's improved. The quality's improved. The discussion's improved. The Giants, they're still ass. As usual, I'm joined by Adriana down there, Anthony over there, Chris down there in the corner. Happy belated birthday to our guy Chris. Are you 39 or 40? I can't remember if you.
The big 4-0. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Christopher. You're a man. Yeah. I'm 40. I'm a man. Happy birthday, buddy.
Don't they say that when you're 21, and then I guess you become a man, I guess, over time.
Yeah, well, I turned 50, so now I'm an old man, but it is what it is. I want to give a big shout out to everybody watching. Of course, do us a favor, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We hit 6,200 subscribers. Really appreciate that. Of course, you can check us out on TikTok and Instagram, and you can check us out wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. If you listen to us on Apple and can leave a 5-star review, that would be great. This portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by our good friends at Mantis Sleep. If you struggle to fall asleep or wake up too easily, this mask is made for you. The Manta Original is soft, lightweight, and comfortable enough to wear all night long. And like I said, I love my mask. It keeps me from sticking a pillow on my face. It has 100% blackout, adjustable eye cups, and a fully adjustable strap, which you can see there. So it fits my pinhead, which is great. With the Manta Sleep Mask, you get total blackout anywhere, anytime. The memory foam eye cups give you a pressure-free fit, and the lightweight materials make it easy to wear, even if you toss and turn. Go to mantasleep.com and get 10% off your purchase by entering the promo code NYG. And, if the Giants are really struggling, you can always watch a Giants game like this, too. They're really good for watching the Giants on Sunday. It's perfect. If you want to watch the Giants, this is a good way to watch them. You can't see anything. Trust me when I tell you. Big shout out to Matt. Adriana, we always start with the lady first. News came out today, and I thought it was interesting. That's why I asked it to be one of the talking points. Is Tyrant Daboll supposedly threatened Mike Kafka and said he was going to relieve him of his play calling duties because Theo Johnson dropped the pass on third down against Philadelphia. I think this is one of the big reasons why Brian Daboll got fired. We heard all about him in Wink Martindale. What was your take on this about him threatening to remove Kafka's role there?
Well, after everything we've heard about the issues that they have had in the past with play calling, it was Kafka, then Shea Tierney got involved, and what's his name? Joe Shane's on the mic. I don't know. I have said for a while that I very much got the impression that Brian Daboll was a my way or the highway type of guy. And, when you hear things like this, it's a little concerning. So I guess it's not entirely surprising. Is it a little horrifying? Yes. I just think that obviously it's not the best way to go about business, which clearly he ended up getting fired. So there's a lot of reasons for that. But I just think it's bizarre, and I think it stems from the outbursts that we've seen from him. And all of the players who spoke to the media when they're asked about Mike Kafka, they basically all said the same thing. He's calm, cool, collected. Basically the opposite of Daboll, and I think that's going to work in his favor. But so I don't think we can expect Mike Kafka to be saying any crazy stuff like that if things go wrong.
Anthony, what was your take on Brian Daboll supposedly threatening to remove him as a play caller because his tight end dropped the pass? Like that was Kafka's fault.
I think that it's just a perfect summary of what went wrong for Brian Daboll. He was a finger pointer. He blamed everybody but himself, and he loved to throw temper tantrums. You can't do that as a head coach. Maybe you get away with that as an offensive coordinator for the Bills, but once you become the head coach of the New York Giants, especially when you're under that kind of New York Giants and New York media microscope, you can't behave that way. I'm surprised that, it took this long, if that's how the behavior has been for him to get fired. I think it should have happened earlier in the year if that's how it's been, because that's toxic. That feeds into losing. That's why the New York Giants have been losing football games, is because their leader, their head coach, is finger pointing and blaming everybody else but himself. And that's pattern behavior. That's something that we've seen from him all throughout his tenure here. When things went south in 2023, he pointed the finger at Wink Martindale. When Wink Martindale left, then he pointed the finger at Daniel Jones. Then he pointed the finger at Shane Bowen. He's always pointing the finger. He pointed the finger at Mike Kafka several times, took the play calling duties away, gave them to Shea Tierney, took them over himself. Always back and forth, but never taking real accountability. It's one thing to stand up in the mic and say, oh, I got to be better. I got to execute better. But then it's another thing to actually take accountability behind closed doors, take accountability on the sidelines, and put that into practice. And I don't think that Brian Daboll ever did that. I think he thought he was a blameless victim in all this. I think he pointed his fingers and he thought everybody else was the problem. But really, when you have a guy that thinks everybody is the problem, he is the problem, and now that problem is out the door, and I am excited to see what Mike Kafka can do with this opportunity.
I always say a team takes on the persona or personality of its head coach. And when your head coach takes no accountability, the players aren't going to take accountability either. And when there's no accountability, there's chaos, there's failure, and that's what the Giants have been. Chris, I'll let you have the floor for a little bit because obviously your birthday last stream, so you weren't able to make the show. Give us your take, first of all, on the Brian Daboll firing and your reaction to it, and then let us know what you think about him threatening Kafka.
I couldn't help but laugh at the super chat that you're going to get to later that I just saw pop up on my screen.
Oh, gotcha.
But as far as the Brian Daboll thing, I obviously didn't have an opportunity to talk about it with you guys on Tuesday. I think the writing was on the wall. I mean, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said that I thought that they would wait it out throughout the totality of the year, but directly after the game, Baddog, I went on Twitter and said they have to fire him, and the next day they did. You had 3 catastrophic collapses in the fourth quarter, but I think the main reason why he got fired, that had a lot to do with it, of course, and some of the things that we're hearing coming out after the fact, but the way that he handled Jackson Dart. We know that Mara did not like the fact that he went to the blue tent. He ended up getting fined $100,000 for that, and then the fact that he didn't pull him off the field after he was clearly woozy after that hit. Russell Wilson came out after the game and said that he was warming up because he clearly saw that Jackson Dart wasn't 100%. And the fact that Daboll left him in the game for, I think it was 5 minutes at game time after that, if I'm not mistaken. He left him in the game after that. I think that is as big of a reason as any why John Mara decided to pull the cord before the end of the year. So I'm not surprised. We all saw the writing on the wall. I thought going into the season that I thought it was entirely possible Daboll wouldn't start the year as the coach. I thought that they may push forward with Shane and Shane would fire him to try to extend his job. The other thing that was interesting that came out of it, and I've seen people dispute this on Twitter over the last couple of days, I think Joe Shane's going to be here now for the next 2 or 3 years after seeing the statement that John Mara came out with. John Mara basically said, and maybe I'm paraphrasing a bit, and you may disagree with it. I disagree with some of what he had to say, but the way that I took it was he basically said that he thinks Joe Shane's done a good job with player evaluation, and he basically said that Joe Shane's going to be part of the coaching hire. So to me, that spells, okay, Shane's going to be here for at least another 2 years if you're bringing in another head coach. So they ended up splitting them up, and they're going to push forward with Shane. Is it the right decision? I don't know. I have doubts. This team's a disaster, and I think Joe Shane had every opportunity to fire Daboll before the year started. He elected not to do it. So I kind of side with Giants fans on this one that I kind of wanted a clean break from both of them, but it is what it is. Got to hope that Shane does a good job. But I think the Daboll thing had as much to do with his handling of Dart in terms of him being fired in season as anything else. I think he was going to get fired at the end of the year no matter what. And that will speculate who the coach is going to be going forward. So it was the right move. They had to do it.
What'd you think about the whole situation with Kafka?
I mean, we'll see what Kafka could do. I know Anthony said he made that point maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that he thought that it would be valuable to see if Kafka could be a good head coach. And if you're going to fire Daboll anyway, fire him now so you get an opportunity to get a half season's worth of games with Kafka. We'll see. Do I think he'll be the head coach next year? No. I think the Giants are going to go a different route, and they're probably going to want to bring in a guy that's done it before as a head coach, whether it be at the collegiate level or the NFL level. But let's give the guy a chance. Let's see what he could do. Let's see if he could turn the team around. Maybe they win 4 out of their last 7, and the quarterback looks really good when Dart gets back in there and the team plays well. And maybe they entertain bringing him back. To me, that would feel a lot like the Ben McAdoo hire, which obviously didn't work out very well. But McAdoo, of course, was the OC, that you retained. It would kind of feel similar for me. I prefer an outsider, a new head coach, but I'll give him an opportunity over the next 7 weeks and see what he could do.
McAdoo, I always remember McAdoo brought us to the playoffs, wanted Patrick Mahomes, didn't get him. And I think that was I think one thing I'll say about Ben McAdoo, I think he was very smart with his player evaluation. I remember him.
Oh, Mahomes, yeah.
With Mahomes, but he also mentioned a lot of problems with the Giants. I remember in like 2018 after he left, and they were absolute problems. Just he wasn't a leader of men. And I think sometimes people don't understand. There's a difference between being a coordinator and handling like one side of the football and then trying to manage everybody, all players, and then all coaches and everything else. Some guys really can't handle it. That's why some guys are meant to be coordinators. I put a lot of things on Twitter lately. What do you think about this guy for head coach? What do you think about that guy? And like with Steve Spagnuolo, a lot of people say, no, absolutely not. He was a terrible head coach. He's a good coordinator. Some guys are meant to be coordinators. I think Daboll is meant to be an offensive coordinator. But I think he could do that job well. I don't think he's meant to be a head coach. And it's obvious because, like Anthony said, you can't throw temper tantrums, and you can't throw your guys under the bus in front of your players, because if you're doing this to your coaches, the players are going to think, well, what's going to stop him from doing this to me? What's going to stop him from chewing me out and this and that? And again, we talk about accountability, and he didn't take any. That's the problem. You can't act like you're not the problem. You can't come out there and say it's not good enough. And that's all you ever say. It's not good enough. Or it's not good enough. Well, no shit. I mean, anybody with eyes that's not wearing their Manta mask when they watch a Giants game could see that it's not good enough. And again, yeah, I remember saying on Twitter that morning, there was rumors that he was going to be fired after Denver. And I said, if that's the case, then he should be fired after Chicago. It's the same type of thing. You blew a 10-point lead in 5 minutes. And then, yeah, the negligence on Jack Start, I think that was it. It was obvious when he fell to the ground and didn't fight for the football. He was not good. And when he got hit in the face the first time, I'm like, I can't believe they're not looking at him. And then when he fell down, they didn't look at him. I'm like, what is going on? And again, yeah, he went into the tent. So selfishly, he was probably like, this kid can't get hurt. I can't let him get hurt because otherwise. But then I think it got to a point where somebody must have said something when he's like, he can't go back out there. Because when you and I were doing the game, we're like, why is Russ in the game? We didn't know anything about.
Yeah, because the 3 or 4 plays before that, there was no contact on Jackson Dart. So
exactly.
It was weird when you saw him in the game. But yeah, that to me is the big. If I had to guess, he was getting fired no matter what. I mean, 3 catastrophic losses, the way that it played out. But the handling of Dart, I think that's where they said we got to get rid of him now. And that's what I think was the biggest reason. But that's just my opinion. It's not like I heard anything. And you bring up the coaching search. JC James in the chat. Dan Orlovsky suggested Ryan Day. There's no way Ryan Day. Get that out of your head. If you're Ryan Day, why in the world would you come to the New York Giants? You're a god at Ohio State. I don't see him leaving the collegiate ranks to come to the New York Giants. I do think, and I'm sure we'll talk about it throughout the show, the Giants are a very attractive destination for a head coach. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, Joe Shane's a lame duck general manager. I don't think he is. I think this means that Joe Shane's going to get at least 2 years, and they're going to give him an opportunity to pick his next coach. Jackson Dart's been really impressive. You have good cap space going forward. You got Malik Neighbors. You have an enticing offense in terms of pieces to build around, and they're going to have a high draft pick. So I think the Giants are as attractive as a destination as they've been in quite some time for an outside head coach. Not saying a whole lot. They haven't been a very attractive destination, but I think the Giants are going to have a lot of options in terms of the head. I don't know who's going to be available, but I think they may be one of the more sought after jobs this offseason.
What I do know is Daboll never pointed a finger at Shane Bowen, which I don't get. I feel like Shane Bowen was the main reason we lost. Shane Bowen.
I think some of that goes back to the Wink thing, like Anthony said. I think the fact that he had the reputation of being hard to deal with other coaches, I think that played into the fact that he didn't want to throw Bowen under the bus. That's my opinion on it.
I don't know. I just know. Well, the other thing with Joe Shane, when we did this show on Tuesday, I pretty much played devil's advocate because I understand Joe Shane has done some shitty things. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I also understand why he made a lot of moves he made. And I do feel like he's done a much better job. And I do feel like there's really good talent on this team. And now we're going to find out if it was the coaching or if it's just the players suck. I don't think the players suck. They got hurt, obviously, but Jackson Dart's a real deal. 17 touchdowns in 7 games, outpacing Jane Daniels, who won Rookie of the Year last year, right? Cam Scadaboo had everybody in the NFL talking about him before he went down. Malik Neighbors is a superstar. He went down in the 4th game. I mean, like you just mentioned, Chris, it's a really attractive destination for somebody to come in here. There is talent, and I think Joe Shane's done a good job, and he's got a lot more cap space, and he's going to have a high draft pick. And let's hope that he nails another draft, and let's hope we get the right, whoever the hell the coach is in here and the right coordinators, and they get the most out of these players, and we start winning football games again. That's what we want. Might not agree on the head coach, but we all want the Giants to win.
And the other thing that I think makes it a more attractive job than years past is the fact that they gave Daboll 4 years. Prior, the prior coaches, they only got 2 years. So a guy's going to look at that and say, okay, they had patience. They gave him an opportunity. I think that makes it an attractive job as well.
Yeah. Before we get to Anthony talking about Jameis Winston, just want to say this portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by our friends at Doer, a Vancouver-based apparel brand making ridiculously comfortable jeans, which I think Chris is wearing today.
I'm being dead. I'm not even joking. I'm not trying to sell it. These are the most comfortable jeans I think I've ever worn. Like, no joke. They are. I'm going to buy another pair. They're expensive, but they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I love them.
It was started by a guy in the denim industry who ditched his car for a bike and realized none of his jeans could keep up, so he created denim that does. And Chris is a living testament to this. Their clothes are made from plants and recycled materials, and the fabric is lightweight, breathable, and built to handle your whole day, whether you're commuting, working, or going out. If you want to upgrade your everyday wear, go to shopdoer.com. That's shopdoer.com, and use the promo code Giants Collective for 15% off your first order. Just click the link in the description; it'll automatically give you the discount. So thanks to Doer for sponsoring this portion of Giants Collective. I'm still waiting for my jeans to come in because I wear them. I wear them at work on Fridays, and I do like a good pair of comfortable jeans. Anthony, we got Mike Kafka made his first decision. It's not Russ. It's our buddy Jameis Winston, right? What do you think about the move? What do you think Jameis is going to bring to the offense?
Well, everybody knows I was a big Russell Wilson fan this summer, and I really had high expectations for him. And I've always just been a Russ fan. I love Russ. I think, in his prime, he was one of the most electric players in the NFL, and he was super fun to watch. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. That all being said, this offense that they were deploying this season was not built for Russell Wilson. There are certain things that you can do to make life easier for a shorter quarterback that the New York Giants simply chose not to do, even when he was in the lineup. It's very clear to me that this offensive scheme that they built all summer was a Jackson Dart offensive scheme that they were having Russell Wilson run, and it didn't pan out. Now, without Jackson Dart in there, going to Russell Wilson wouldn't make sense because he doesn't fit the scheme. But Jameis Winston, on the other hand, he can play in the scheme. He can spread the ball out. He can target the sidelines and target the middle of the field. He can air it out downfield. He can do some of the things that Russell Wilson's a little bit more limited in. So this just makes sense to me. I really don't think that Russ is as cooked as everybody said he was. I think what he demonstrated in week 2 versus Dallas, you could unlock that again. I just think it's a little difficult to unlock that at this point in his career. And you really have to build an entire offense around Russell Wilson in order to get that out of him. That's why the Pittsburgh Steelers offense was so limited last year, because they had to reshape it for Russ and go according to his limitations. He is limited. He did play poorly this season, and now they're going to a quarterback that can play in this offense and that isn't nearly as limited as 36-year-old Russell Wilson. So it's the right move. I think Jameis Winston brings leadership. I think he brings energy. I think he brings passion, all of those things, and he brings a downfield passing approach. So I'm excited to see him play in this offense. I think that he's going to be able to air it out, and I think that it's going to be a lot more fun to watch with him back there rather than cinder blocks at this stage in his career, Russell Wilson.
Chris, what do you think about famous Jameis getting the start?
It'll be entertaining. I mean, he's an entertaining guy. I know everybody's excited to see him. Hopefully, it's only for 1 week because I want to see. Obviously, I want to see Dart back out there. Hopefully, he's healthy and he's ready to go. But it'll be entertaining. And yeah, like Anthony said, I think he fits the offense a bit better. They'll try to throw the ball down the field more with him in there. Russell Wilson, I don't think is good anymore. To be honest with you, is he a guy that's not going to embarrass you? Sure. If you have a good team, can he win football games? Sure. But I don't think he's very good. And Jameis Winston's the future, the backup position for this team. He's going to be back next year. So I think it was good that they elevated him to the QB2. I know that might be a bit embarrassing for Russell Wilson, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm excited to see him. Hopefully it's only for 1 week, though, because I want to see Jackson Dart back out there soon.
Adriana, what do you think about famous Jameis under center this week?
I am so excited. His initial press conference, I was just laughing and I was like, yes, this is why we were all so excited when they signed Jameis. He's talking about how he's just so grateful to be in the best city in the world. He's been playing this game since he was 4 years old. He can't wait to get back out there. And then he starts singing. And I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah, Jameis, let's go. So I'm excited. I also saw the Giants posted a video of some of Jameis's like pre-game speeches, and I feel like he's going to do a really good job of rallying this team and keeping everyone together. Now, I don't know if that means they're actually going to win the game, but I think at the very least they're going to have a vocal leader who is going to help the whole team, kind of help them play together. So I think that's going to be important. And it's not like I don't think Jackson did that. I just think Jameis is a different vibe, and he's going to help kind of do that. The thing that I can't figure out, and I really have been thinking about this a lot over the last couple of days, is what the hell really was going on with the front office and the decision making? Because I have talked extensively about how I don't think Brian Daboll was a good head coach, but he's not stupid. And he knew that Russell Wilson was not good enough to be a backup quarterback. And he knew that during all the times that Jackson Dart went down and had to get evaluated for a concussion mid-game, that Russell Wilson coming in was not going to help them win the game. So I can't figure out why all of a sudden Mike Kafka is now interim head coach, and he's allowed to switch the quarterback situation. He's allowed to bring in Isaiah Hodgins as a new wide receiver, which everyone has been screaming about since Malik Neighbors went down, and it took them until now to do it. They finally put Graham Gano on IR for the second time this year, and now they signed another kicker. I'm just like, was Daboll like really not involved in any of these moves, which I think is bullshit, because Mike Kafka also said to the media that him and Joe Shane are going to sit down and go over the roster moves and the elevations before the game on Sunday. So I can't figure it out. And I just think that it's bizarre, but I feel like it needs to be discussed because, like I said, while I don't think Daboll is a great coach, he's a good quarterback coach. Like, I'm never going to deny that. I think he's done a great job with Jackson Dart from what I've seen so far. I don't think he made Josh Allen what he is, but I think he helped. And I can't figure out how he managed to keep Russell Wilson as quarterback 2 this whole season. And Mike Kafka comes in and was like, oh, hell no. So I don't know, just very odd. John Mara tells us all the time, I don't meddle. And then he's the one who fires Brian Daboll, and Joe Shane was supposedly shocked, didn't see it coming. So maybe Joe Shane said, I got to save my ass and I'm going to make all these decisions. I don't know, but it's fishy. It's bizarre.
It is interesting with Daboll. Maybe the only thing I can think of with Isaiah Hodgins is that, the Giants lost little Jordan Humphrey off the practice squad and they just needed to replace somebody. And Isaiah Hodgins was out there. I don't really know. But yeah,
Smith Marset is still on the practice squad.
Yeah. I mean, again, it is weird that all these moves are being made now. I don't know, man. I always rooted for Daboll. I really thought Daboll could figure it out. I thought in 2023 he just had a bad year, but he never got better. And it was wearing on him, obviously, but I think his personality is just not meant to be a head coach. Like Anthony said, you can't snap at people. You can't throw temper tantrum. My kid is 8. He's not supposed to throw a temper tantrum. He knows that's wrong, but he's 8 years old. So that happens. When the Giants lose, I throw temper tantrums if we're being fair. But still, I'm not coaching people. Okay. I'm not yelling at people in front of other people. Like I doubt that's going on behind closed doors. It's probably out there for everybody to see. I just think Daboll felt a lot of pressure this year. And when things started to go south, that was it. The one thing I love about Jameis, and I said this at the beginning of the year. Yeah, I'm sure Brian Daboll had something to do with Jackson Dart performing really well. I'm not going to take anything away from Daboll. I think that Jackson Dart is a very talented young guy. I think that he's going to be a superstar. He has superstar qualities. He has to work on his deep ball. He has to learn to avoid some of the hits he's taken, because if you can't stay in the field, it doesn't matter how good you are. The best ability is availability. One thing I loved about what the Giants did in the offseason, though, was the quarterback room. I don't think Jackson Dart could have had 2 better guys to learn from. And I think having guys like Russell Wilson in that locker room, even if he's not what he used to be on the field, certainly helps Jackson Dart's development. Jameis Winston's attitude certainly helps Jackson Dart's attitude. I know Jackson Dart hates losing, and I love that attitude about him. But I just love what Jameis brings to the team. He's just a type of – that's the personality the Giants need. Now, if we were winning football games, it'd be even better. But I'm very anxious to see Jameis. It is not going to be dull. He is going to throw a lot of passes. He is going to complete a lot of passes. We just don't know which team he's going to complete them to. But it doesn't matter because he's not going to run around back there and then look for a check down. When Jameis Winston is great, he's just going to full launch mode and just chuck the ball down the field. And we're 2-8. So what the hell do we have to lose? Before we get into the Q&A part, real quick, I just go around. Anybody can jump in here. Chris, when we were doing the game, I didn't like that he kicked the field goal. I said it wasn't going to kill him for it when they got to the half-yard line. Yeah. I understood, but I wanted him to go for it.
Yeah.
Do you think that him playing like scared is another reason? Well, it's probably a reason they lost the game, but do you think that was kind of another reason he got fired? Remember in 2022, 4th and 9 against Washington, like midfield, he went for it and we got it. Yeah. Where did that guy go?
Yeah, I said it during the live stream. Now, after they got the penalty, I thought they should have went for it because after they got the penalty, they had it at like the half-yard line, or maybe it was like, was it on the 2 and then it went to
it was the half-yard line.
Whatever it was. After the offside, I thought they should have went for it. I didn't kill him, and as a matter of fact, I agreed with it before the penalty to take the 3, to make it a 2-score game. I know in hindsight, after the team loses, it's easy to say he made the wrong decision. But I mean, if we're going to say that, if you could go back, what was it, 3 weeks ago, when we said he should have played ultra conservative and run the ball, and he didn't do it. So, no matter what he does, it doesn't seem to work. And at the end of the day, the defense has to do a better job. You can't give up 91 yards on a touchdown drive. That can't happen. So they probably still lose the game, even if they score the touchdown there. Let's not forget they scored 2 touchdowns after the fact anyway, and we probably would have lost in overtime. But yes, at the half-yard line, do I think they should have went for it? Yeah, even if you don't get it, you got them pegged at their own 1 or half-yard line or whatever it may be. But I still get the point of going up by 2 scores in that spot with only 8 or 9 minutes left. Or whatever.
I mean, it makes sense. I just feel like the aggressive guy was – maybe because it failed in Denver, he decided to be conservative because he was aggressive in Denver. But I think that's another – it speaks to his coaching tactics that he doesn't know when to be aggressive and he doesn't know when to be conservative. And in year 4, you should know. You're 2-7 at that point. The Denver game was totally different. You just beat the Eagles. You win that game, you're 3-4, and you're right in the thick of the division at that point. You're 2-6 now, or 2-7 at that point. What the hell's the difference? So I just feel like Brian Daboll kind of lost his way somewhere. It just wasn't the same guy. What did you guys think about that decision?
The reason that I didn't like it is because I really felt like if Jackson Dart was on the field, they would have went for it. And I'm like, you're putting yourself in this situation again, goes back to what I said before, that you decided that Russell Wilson was going to be the backup quarterback, even after on 3 separate occasions, your quarterback who thinks he can truck people over has ended up in the concussion tent. So I just am like, you decided that Russell Wilson was going to do this. I have PTSD from the Chiefs game of him in the red zone, just throwing the ball away 4 times in a row.
Nobody.
That was enough. That was enough for me to be like, what the fuck are you doing making him the backup quarterback? And then you're on the 1 yard line and you're not going for it. Also, the fact that Draymond Green came out and was like, that's a loser mentality, essentially. Like, he's like, as a player, you don't want to play for a coach who on the 1 yard line decides to take the points. He said exactly, he's playing not to lose, and players don't like that. And I'm like, fans don't like it either. But the fact that he came out and said that, I was like, yes, that is my problem. It was just like, here we go again with, you don't trust your quarterback, so you have to kick the points, and you're playing not to lose instead of just, let's add another 7 points here, but I don't trust our quarterback to do it. Like, I just hate it.
Anthony, what did you think of that decision?
I thought it was lame. I thought it was weak. I thought it was playing afraid, playing not to lose, as Adriana just said. And it's a major difference from, like you said, the guy that we saw in 2022. The fall off of Brian Daboll needs to be studied because the man that we saw in 2022 no longer exists. He's a completely different person. I think even behaviorally he's changed, in many ways, not for the better. And I think particularly as a coach, in many ways he's gotten lazy. And he's gotten afraid. That was his hallmark trait in that 2022 season that helped him become the head coach of the year, was his aggression, his ability to be aggressive on fourth down, to go for it for the 2-point conversion at the end of that Tennessee game in week 1. That was what a way to start the season. Be ultra aggressive and go get the win, go for the throat. And then from then on, he just became ultra conservative. It feels like the Giants, even when Daniel Jones was here and he was playing quarterback, Daboll would call an offense that prevented him at times from even pushing the ball downfield because he was afraid of having turnovers and he didn't want Daniel Jones to take those risks. He wanted him to play averse of turnovers and really afraid to turn the ball over. But I think when you instill that kind of anxiety in your players, that fear of committing mistakes and doing things wrong rather than teaching them what to do right and how to be aggressive in the right moments, that's how you get into that conservative mindset as a collective team. Like you said, the head coach, that's emblematic of the whole team's personality. And I think because he became so conservative on the field, so did the players. And that's really where a lot of the mess was stemming from. But I also think in some ways, this is a product of coaching on thin ice. Daboll has been on thin ice for over a year now. He's been coaching for his job for over a year. He barely retained his job after the 2024 season. So of course he's going to go into 2025 afraid that he's going to lose his job. Now, to us, we might say, well, that's why he should have went balls to the wall. He should have been more aggressive. But to him, he might have said, let me be as safe as possible so I don't ruffle any feathers. But nevertheless, that ended up ruffling feathers anyway. But you think about it, people were calling for his job even in 2023, in year 2, even though he had already won head coach of the year in 2022. That 2023 season, before you had the Tommy DeVito 3-game winning streak and things were going south, people were calling for his job. People were saying that he was making mistakes. He turned it around a little bit that season, 2024. Everybody was calling for his job last year. He somehow kept it. Now he goes into this season and he eventually does lose his job. But I think being on that thin ice, being in New York, under that spotlight with us as these angry, loud fans constantly complaining, I think it affected him. I think it got to Brian Daboll, and that's why he became so conservative.
I think you could see it in the press conferences. That brings us to the end of the first half of Giants Collective. Part of the Q&A, this portion of the Q&A is brought to you by our friends at SeatGeek. Check out SeatGeek, guys. Go to SeatGeek, enter the promo code Giants Collective 10 for 10% off your tickets at SeatGeek. Let's hear from them 80 seconds back after this with your questions. What's going on, guys and gals? You looking for a fun activity? You want to get out of the house? You need something to do? Are you looking for a great gift idea? Well, if so, look no farther than the sponsor of Giants Collective, which is SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There's more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Giants season is underway. And say you want to check out Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders at MetLife Stadium? Well, it's easy. Just go to SeatGeek, scroll around, look for the tickets that you want, and SeatGeek's going to have your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. That's good. The red dots, well, it's not so good. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use the code Giants Collective for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Giants Collective. Make sure you click that link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring Giants Collective, and let's go Giants! At this point, you're going to get Marcus Mariota and the Commanders, but still, the offer still stands. No matter who the quarterback is, get 10% off at SeatGeek. Let's get to some of your questions. I think this is the one Chris was talking about. If you don't know, Chris hit the big 4-0 a couple days ago. So, he's an old man now. He's 40. He's a man like Mike Gundy. I'm 50. I'm an old man. We got the youngsters here. Anthony's in his 20s. That was so long ago for me, I don't even remember that. Henry says, Entertainah, do you want to date my mom?
How old's your mom? Send me a pic. Maybe we'll talk.
Offers everywhere.
Not with your dad. I
I
don't
love
know
it.
marriages, but we'll talk.
Oh, shit. That's why our chat's the best. You never know what you're going to get. Our guy B-Rog, what a legend. I had the pleasure of meeting B-Rog and hanging out with him and Chris and drinking way too much during the Niner game. He says, do y'all think the team will play harder for Kafka and they can win this week even with Jameis Winston at the helm, or is it not possible with this roster?
I think anything can happen. The Packers have proven that they are not consistently a good football team, kind of like the Giants. I mean, they're obviously better than the Giants, but they haven't consistently gone out there every single week and played complimentary football. I don't know if everyone watched the game on Monday night, but
Yeah,
I expected more from them. It was not great. They also sound like they have a kicker problem, much like us, but ours might be solved, dare I say. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting this week is that Kafka talked about accountability and he talked about aggressiveness. And back in January, when Kafka interviewed for the head coach job for the Saints, supposedly he was going to bring in Wink Martindale as his defensive coordinator. And the reason I bring that up is because he's obviously on board with an aggressive philosophy from a defensive perspective. And I think that he's going to come in here and be like, this is my team. I'm going to do it my way. If they didn't fire Shane Bowen, he said, he sat down with Shane Bowen and the other coaches and they talked about a lot of stuff. So I think at the very least, we're going to see a more aggressive team on both sides of the ball. I don't think defense is going to come out here riding or dying with the blitz like Wink did, but I think we might see a little more aggressiveness and I think they're going to play to win. So I think I'm going to assume that there were players who didn't like Daboll and they are glad that he's gone. And now they're going to fight for Kafka. So I think so. Yes. I don't know if it's going to result in a win, but I think we'll see a better football team this weekend. I hope.
I think the fact that he got fired might light a fire under some of these guys' asses.
Yeah. I have no idea whether the players didn't like Daboll or not, but I think just the change, at least for 1 week, it may spark the team a bit, but it's not like the Giants played bad last week. They should have won that game. So I don't know. I don't know how much of a spark it'll be, but yeah, they'll probably come out a little extra motivated, at least to start the game. I think Jameis is going to struggle though. If I'm being honest, this Packers defense is legit. Their offense is not very good, but their defense is very good.
So the one thing I'll say in my argument for Joe Shane, which I saw Dr. Garrett had something, and we'll get to that when I get to Dr. Garrett. If the Giants hold on to 3 double-digit leads with, less than 5 minutes to go, an 18-point lead with 5 minutes to go in Denver, a field goal lead with 18 seconds to go in Dallas, and a 10-point lead in Chicago, they win those games like any other fucking team with, decent coaching. We're 5-5, and nobody's firing Daboll, and nobody wants to fire Shane. You should have won in New Orleans too. I mean, I'm not even going to give us that game.
We were up 14-3 in that game.
Exactly. We turned the ball over 5 times. They shot ourselves in the foot. If we're 5 and if we just close the games we're supposed to, and they're 5-5 after 10 games with that schedule, this show right here, we're talking about playoffs. I guarantee you. That's how close it was. That's my argument I'm not going to get into the Joe Shane thing again, but that was my argument. The talent's there to get these leads. The Giants aren't getting blown out. It's rare. They have gotten, like San Francisco kicked their ass. Philadelphia kicked their ass the time around. But other than that, when Jackson Dart played, we were in every game outside of those two. So
that's the nature of the NFL, though, Baddog. And the good coaches win those games more often than the bad coaches do. Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. I think our talent's good enough. We got to finish.
It's bad. It's close. I don't think it's good enough yet, but it's getting there.
Give us another year. He's had 4. How many players can he bring in 4 years?
Yeah,
you have to field 53. How many can he bring in 4 years? You know what I mean? And you got to sign guys, and it's I don't know. I don't know why the hell. I don't know what the hell it is about Joe Shane. He's got a hold on me. I don't know what the hell it is about him. I understand if they want to fire him, and I get why people want to fire him, but for some reason, it's kind of like I was with Daboll at the beginning of it. I just couldn't let him go. And I don't know. It's stupid Joe Shane. Jermaine, thank you, buddy. Would you consider bringing Wink back? And I love your thumbnail.
Me personally, I don't know if it's a hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I don't want Wink Martindale back. I know I've seen a lot of Giants fans say that they really miss Wink Martindale. I don't miss Wink Martindale. I just don't like Shane Bowen. I don't think you have to miss Wink Martindale to dislike Shane Bowen. I wasn't crazy about the Wink Martindale system. I thought it was overly aggressive. I thought it was too much man coverage. I think a lot of people forget how flawed that defense was with Wink Martindale. We were living and dying by Wink Martindale when he was the defensive coordinator. There were some weeks where he forced a whole bunch of turnovers. Well, his players forced a whole bunch of turnovers, but granted, he did have the aggressive mindset and helped them force those turnovers. But that was a good, he had some good pieces back then. And I think that ultimately he didn't maximize those pieces the way that we would have wanted our defensive coordinator to. I think a lot of players were underperforming during the Wink Martindale era, and people forget about that, especially when you're looking at the pass rushers. If we really want to unlock this defense and we want to unlock Burns and Lawrence and Carter and Thibodeau at their fullest potential, that's not through a defense that plays a lot of man coverage and blitzes all the time. I mean, we were always complaining because Thibodeau was dropping back 8 yards in coverage for some unknown reason under Wink Martindale. Is that what we want to experience again? I don't. I want a good defensive coordinator that's going to play to the strengths of my defense, and I don't think that Wink Martindale necessarily did that. Now, granted, you could argue he got a lot out of a little at times with some of these turnovers and things, but I just don't miss Wink Martindale. Just because Shane Bowen is a shitty coach doesn't mean that Wink Martindale was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think he's good. I don't think he's great, and I have higher standards than that. I want a better defensive coordinator than Wink Martindale.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't think – I mean, you would think with the talent that we have on this defensive line, we shouldn't need a blitz-heavy approach in order to get pressure on the quarterback. So I don't necessarily think a guy like Wink, even though I think he's a hell of a lot better than Shane Bowen as a defensive coordinator, I actually think Patrick Graham was the best of the last three, if I'm being honest. He had very, very little talent on that defense, and he did a pretty good job his first year with the New York Giants. And Wink did a good job his first year with the New York Giants. But I agree with you, Anthony, that I think we forget how bad the defense looked the second year with Wink because Shane Bowen has been that bad. I want a defensive coordinator that's kind of in the middle, that isn't afraid to blitz at certain points in time, knows when to send pressure at the end of the games and not drop 8 guys back into coverage, like common sense things that us as fans could do. But I think the strength of this defense is the front four. We haven't seen it enough this year because Dexter Lawrence isn't himself, but you shouldn't need to send 6 or 7 guys to get consistent pressure with the front four that we have. So I would not want a Wink Martindale type defensive coordinator with the type of defense that we're building.
Yeah, it's just there's that prevent defense. It's just the way Bowen coaches the end of games. Our run defenses, a lot of people I put on Twitter, I put 4 guys there. I put Leonard Williams, Julian Love, Xavier McKinney, and Saquon. I said, if you could have one of these guys back right now, who would it be? Now, the overwhelming majority said McKinney, which would be I loved him. That was my favorite Giant. But some guys said Leonard Williams because our run defense sucks. Well, our run defense sucked with Leonard Williams here, too. Our run defense has been bad for years. That's because our linebackers underperform. Obviously, losing Micah McFadden was a huge loss, but I think that this offseason, Joe Shane, via free agency or draft, we have to address that. The Giants have had bad linebackers for too long, and it really hurts when players get to that second level. It happens a lot. So you got to figure that the hell out. But yeah, I kind of agree with both of you guys. I don't think Wink was great, but just compared to Shane Bowen,
much better than Bowen. Yeah,
a night and day.
Yeah.
Jason, thank you, buddy. He says, while I defended Daboll, this is why I'm weary about. By the way, we have 700 people in here, which is awesome. We appreciate you guys, girls. Make sure you hit the thumbs up for us because it helps us out a lot. And subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the show. We do it twice a week. We do it at 7 o'clock, between 7 and 8, 8:30, somewhere in there. So just remember, stay here, because when we're good, you're definitely going to be here because it's going to happen eventually. It has to. He said, well, I would defend Daboll. This is why I'm worried about hiring another offensive guru for head coach. I want a veteran leader of men type of head coach, no more swings.
Yeah, that's why I'm, as much as I love the idea of like the flashy guru coordinator, we've done that many times before and it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for us. And I don't think that it'll never work for us in the future, but where we're at right now with a very, very young team and a quarterback on a rookie deal, you need someone, I think the Giants need someone who's not trying to figure out how to be a head coach and how to win football games. It's not going to go well, I don't think. This team needs to learn discipline, accountability. They need to learn how to win, and they all need to learn how to be better football players. And I just think that if you're a first-time head coach, you're not able to do all of that at once. And like I said, it doesn't mean it'll never work for us in the future. Daboll could go be a head coach somewhere else in the coming years, and he could end up being fine. But we cannot waste away Jackson Dart's rookie contract. It's unacceptable for the Giants to do that. They need proven people in the building, coaches in every section of the team that know what the hell they're doing and can take this team to the next level, because not everyone on the team sucks. So some of them are good. They just need help to get a little bit better and execute.
Yeah. I don't think there's a perfect answer to this question, because I agree. I want something different, which, like Adriana said, we've been going after the quarterback gurus, whether it be Pat Shermer, whether it be obviously Brian Daboll, an unproven special teams coordinator, which was out of the box thinking at the time with Joe Judge that we were all excited about, that they were doing something different. None of that worked. So I agree that I want them to go the Tom Coughlin route, the proven head coach that's done it before at another destination that they could bring in. But that doesn't mean it won't work if they go with it with a quarterback guru. I think you can look at the Chicago Bears this offseason, and you could look at the
Patriots.
The New England Patriots. The New England Patriots went the route that we're advocating for, the proven head coach with Mike Vrabel. They have the best record in the NFL right now at 8-2. They're the darlings of the ball right now. Everybody's saying they may win a Super Bowl. Drake May looks like an MVP candidate. But then the same thing with the Chicago Bears. They had a young quarterback. They went with the hot shot offensive coordinator with Ben Johnson. They're 6-3. Caleb Williams is looking better. So either way could work. We just got to make sure we get the right guy in here. But I agree. I want them to do something different. As I've said, I want to go the Tom Thibodeau route. We need a guy that has done it before, that could be a program builder, that could get this team back going in the right direction.
Which leads us to this one. And this would probably be my pick, even though it's not sexy and it's not my favorite, but it probably would be my pick. Is Mike McCarthy a real option as head coach? Thoughts? Safest bet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I by no means am I excited about Mike McCarthy, and I know Giants fans aren't going to be excited about Mike McCarthy. And anytime you bring up Mike McCarthy on Twitter, you get killed.
I did.
Like, people hate the idea. It's not a guy that I'm dreaming about. Like, I'm not putting on my Manta mask every night.
Well, I mean, Chris, he's a 300-pound guy.
but what I'll say about Mike McCarthy is he has experience. He is a program builder. He's done it before. He has credentials. Is he a guy that's going to get us to the promised land? Probably not. I don't think he's a Tom Coughlin level of coach, but I think he is a guy that could get this team headed in the right direction. I think he's a guy that could maybe be a bridge before you go and get that guy that could be the guy that gets you over the top, but he could get us out of hell. I think that would be the way that the Giants would look at it, like Tom Thibodeau with the New York Knicks. I think that's the type of hire he potentially could be. He's not my number one choice. He's not my number two choice. He's not my number three choice, but I could see it making sense depending on who the candidates are.
Safest bet.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about McCarthy is this, and I actually did a video on this, and he was my pick. And a lot of people said, no, he never won. He won a Super Bowl. He fails in the playoffs. How many Super Bowls has Mike Tomlin won? If Mike Tomlin was available tomorrow, the Giants fans would want him immediately.
I would.
How many Super Bowls has John Harbaugh won? And how many playoff games has he lost? And people would take John Harbaugh like that. What's the difference between them and Mike McCarthy? That's the way I look at this. Mike McCarthy's played with a coach really good. Go ahead, Anthony. I see you're ready to.
Yeah, it stems from something that we discussed a lot this offseason. Giants fans want to go worst to first. Everybody wants to go worst to first. They only want Super Bowls. They want rings. They want it all right now. You can't do that. Everybody said, well, the Commanders just did it. No, they didn't. They had one flash in the pan year, and now they're coming back down to reality.
Right.
You don't go from worst to first. You have to be good before you can be great. It's really hard to win a Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy getting one means he's very accomplished. For years, the whole league was dominated by the Patriots. You have to acknowledge that. That's why a lot of these rings didn't go to Harbaugh, didn't go to Tomlin, didn't go to McCarthy, despite their teams constantly being in the playoffs. But that's the standard that the New York Giants haven't had in a very, very long time. They haven't had perennial playoff standards. Bring those standards back. Mike McCarthy, if he was coaching this team right now, they have at least 6 wins. They're in the playoffs for sure. With Mike McCarthy coaching them.
At a bare minimum.
And if Giants fans can hear that and not be satisfied, they're out of their fucking minds. Seriously. How could you not be satisfied with a coach getting you immediately to the playoffs on a perennial basis? Got to be good before you can be great. We need to elevate our standards. He would at least do that.
And that's my exact point. And I see Wagner say, Chris is my dog, and you're my dog too. Thank you for watching. But Tibbs got fired. That's not what I want. But I'm not saying he's the guy. I think he's a guy that could get you in the right direction, like Thibodeau did with the Knicks. The Knicks were inept for 20 years, and then they brought in a guy that was a program builder. He did a great job with the Chicago Bulls, getting them out of the depths of hell. Did some good things with Minnesota. Came to the Knicks. He brought credibility, and he got that team going in the right direction. He brought them to an Eastern Conference Finals last year, for God's sakes. So I could see McCarthy doing something similar with the New York Giants. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he will, but I don't think it's crazy to think that he could.
This is my thing with McCarthy and what I said in the video.
Yeah.
We talk about Mike McCarthy's playoff failures. One thing Mike McCarthy has done is win regular season games. We don't fucking win regular season games here. You have to win regular season games before we can talk about the postseason. Give me a guy that went 12-5 3 years in a row. Please give me that. Just three years of 12-5. You're a Giants fan. You wouldn't sign up for that today?
Baddog,
Holy shit, that's 36 wins. We've had 36 wins in the last 7 years.
When's the last time we had back-to-back season with 9 wins?
That's what I'm saying.
Like 2011 or something. Like, it's crazy.
We have to win regular season games before we can even talk about. Like Anthony said, you have to be good before you can be great. You got to walk before you can run. Give us a guy that brings stability and can build. And maybe McCarthy does get us a Super Bowl. Maybe he don't. But maybe he is kind of a stepping stone to the next guy that does. But again, you know what you're getting with him. There's no surprises here. You know what he is. You know his track record. I think the Giants need, I'm not saying it has to be McCarthy, but I think they need a guy like that, a foundation builder as a coach. He also does really good at hiring coordinators. Again, I'm not saying McCarthy's the sexy pick. If the Giants hired him, every Giants fan like, yes, that's the guy I want. But I think he's the safest bet. And I think the Giants need something safe.
You know who was, and again, I'm not comparing him, but you know who else wasn't a sexy pick when the Giants made it? Tom Coughlin. He wasn't a sexy pick.
Mm-hmm.
Worked out pretty good. So I'm not saying that McCarthy would do that, but it's not always the sexy pick that's the right pick.
Yeah.
Before we get to the next one, just want to give a big shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this portion of Giants Collective. Check out Sleeper, guys and girls. It is the fastest growing app out there. Almost 11 million people use the Sleeper app. You can play daily fantasy contests, college football, college basketball, NBA, and so much more. You can make entries within 30 seconds. You can do them for as little as $1 an entry, going up to 1,000 times your cash. You're going to get a great promotion right now. Just all you got to do is click the link in the description, enter the promo code HMA to get a 100% match deposit bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. And even better than that, if you don't have a Sleeper account and you want to try it out, all you got to do is use our link, open a Sleeper account to give you $20 for free. No deposit required, no credit card, no debit card, no nothing. You just have to click the link, open an account. You get $20. And if you like it and you want to make a deposit, you're still eligible for the 100% match deposit bonus. So check out Sleeper. Terms and conditions apply. Win some cash, have some fun. Test your sports knowledge at Sleeper. Pete, thank you so much for your incredible generosity, brother. We really appreciate that. He says, if Kafka is able to get this team to perform well enough to have strong consideration for the job next year, do you think that could be good enough reason to fire Shane and find a better GM in the offseason, or will that be a reason to keep Joe?
I just want to read that again.
I think if Kafka is able to get the team to perform, it proves that Joe Shane's got talent and that Brian Daboll was the problem. So I think it would strengthen Joe Shane's case to come back as a GM.
Definitely.
Yeah, and thank you for the incredible donation, Pete. But yeah, I agree. Like, I don't see any reason why, if Kafka was successful, why that would hurt Joe Shane's job, credibility. I think it would only enhance it. The team finished strong and more of a reason to try to keep it intact next year. So yeah.
The other thing is, if you hire another GM, he might just fire Kafka, pick his own guys. But I think, like I said, I feel like we're going to find out if it's the lack of talent or if it was bad coaching. The Giants' schedule eases up a little bit. It's not easy. I mean, we're going to get murdered by Detroit. But Green Bay is a winnable game. It's at home, right? We're not in Lambeau. We're home this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're home this week, yeah.
Okay. Vegas is a winnable game. Washington is a winnable game. Dallas is a winnable game. So The Vikings are a winnable game. The Patriots, you looked at it and go, that's what it's not.
No, not right now. It doesn't look
that one. But Dominic D'Alessandro, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. They made the right decision in not firing Shane. If you fire the GM, they will tear the entire roster down and start over another 4-year wait.
I'm kind of like what I said a couple weeks ago. Like I think Baddog got to a point where he was like, they need to fire Shane too. And I think I said I'm where Baddog was 2 or 3 weeks ago. If they fire him, okay. If they don't, I understand it. So it is what it is, and I don't think they're going to fire him. I know, there's still some fans trying to convince themselves that he could still lose his job. Based on the things that Mara wrote, I read it complete opposite. I think they're going to push forward with Shane. But hey, things could change. We got 7 weeks to go, but I expect Shane to be here. And I think it's at least 2 years, because if you're gonna leave him on to hire a new head coach, you're likely not going to fire that head coach after 1 year. So I think Shane's going to be here for 2 more years. So now, when's Shane's contract up? Is it up at the end of this year or
next year? I think is his last year.
More likely, if they're going to push forward with him, they're going to have to give him some kind of an extension. That doesn't mean that you don't fire him in the middle of the contract, but I very much doubt they go into next year with him on a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My take on it, though, is if this roster is as good as John Mara is convinced that it is, bringing in a new GM, they won't tear it down. If it's so good, if there's so much talent there, but if he thinks it's that good, it's that good. That's why he's keeping Joe Shane. But I don't think that anybody would step in and tear this roster down. There are pieces. I mean, what are they going to do? Break up the defensive line and start over there? I mean, that's a really great starting point. You just add accessory pieces around that defense and it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, starting with a new defensive coordinator, that'd be a lot better. H50, thank you, buddy. Says Shane is lame. I want a full reset. Banks, JMS, Hyatt, the whole 2023 class, Nubin, Neal, Azudu. They need to do research and take time for the new GM and head coach. This team would be really bad with Sanders if Jordan's way. Where is this coming from? I have not seen, this is all rumors. I have not seen one concrete proof or one concrete piece of evidence that shows anywhere that Joe Shane said, I want Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I think where people get like you said, there's no concrete evidence. I think where people get the perception that he wanted him is because we spent so much time in Colorado. But Baddog, you could just as easily
argue. Be looking at Travis Hunter.
Or you could just as easily argue that they wanted to do a lot of research on Sanders, and after they did it, they said, we don't want him. Just because they spent a lot of time there doesn't mean that they were going to take him at number 3 overall.
There's no concrete evidence, but I don't remember which report it was, and it might be several reports that I'm just kind of connecting here, but I know that there were reports that the Giants were in on Sanders, and then Brian Daboll had a personal feud with Shedeur Sanders, and then he told the front office that he wanted Jackson Dart, and that's why they went with Jackson Dart. So the Giants definitely did want Sanders, and I think where people are making the jump is if the Giants wanted Sanders and then Daboll pivoted them off, who wanted Sanders? It must have been Joe Shane. And I think, honestly, that's a logical conclusion to draw from that. So I actually do think Sanders was Joe Shane's guy. I think Dart was Daboll's guy. I think that they were kind of splitting hairs between the two. But after bringing him in and they had that feud and Sanders showed up unprepared to that meeting and all of that stuff, it made the decision clear for everybody. And everybody, by the end of it, was in on Jackson Dart. That's why they traded up. Made the pick for Jackson Dart, but Dart was, definitively Daboll's guy, and I do think Sanders had Shane's liking.
Just because Sanders was his guy in February, though, doesn't mean that he was done with his evaluation, like you said.
True.
He changed his mind in March when they got an opportunity to interview the guy. That's a big part of the draft process. So, at the end of the day, you could hate Joe Shane all you want, and I understand why fans want him gone. Regardless, that's his draft pick. That's not Brian Daboll's draft pick. Brian Daboll may have influenced the draft pick, but Joe Shane still had the say.
Make the deal. Joe Shane had to make the deal to get him.
He also made the trade to go up and get Jackson Dart.
He didn't give up shit to get him.
Yeah, he put his quarterback evaluator. That's it.
Yeah, we saw in Hard Knocks that the GM makes the final decision. So if he was really like, I don't trust Daboll, or I don't think this is the guy, then they wouldn't have done it. But I am one of those people that think that if you're going to fire one of them, you should have fired both of them. Like, I don't want to go through this whole cycle again. I think you can argue that Joe Schoen has done some good things, especially in the draft. Obviously, the Brian Burns trade. There have been some mistakes that he's done. My biggest concern with Joe Schoen is the week-to-week roster mismanagement. And again, maybe this whole thing of signing the kicker, Gano to IR, bringing back Isaiah Hodgins, and making Jameis quarterback one, maybe we're finding out, and we will find out as the weeks go on, that it was really Brian Daboll who was causing issues with the roster, less of Joe Schoen, and then I will feel better. But to me, I want to see how the rest of the season goes and what these roster elevations and everything like that looks like, because we hear that it all goes back to the GM. He makes the final say on the roster and this and that, all of it. So, if he's the one who was like, we can't add, what's his name, Lil Jordan Humphrey to the roster because it costs too much. Like, I don't want to hear it. You just freed up $4 million in cap space. I think you can afford 40 grand for a practice squad player or whatever it was. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season shakes out on that front for me. And I think with the drafts, it does take 3 years. I do believe there is more talent than what we're seeing. I think if we had a different defensive coordinator, we'd probably see a better defense.
And a better record.
Even so many people are like, well, why did we sign Russell Wilson? Well, Brian Daboll came out and told the media that he watched every single snap that Russell Wilson took last year. So again, I don't know who started it, if it was Shane or Daboll, but between the two of them, they agreed that this was the right move. So, everything can't always be blamed on Daboll. Some of it has to go to the GM who does make those final roster decisions.
I think I agree with you. I'm not going to freak out if they keep Shane, and it clearly looks like, to me at least, that they're going to keep Shane. But I agree with you. I think it should be a clean break, and I think the main reason why Shane should be fired, in my opinion, was because I think he tied his job to Daboll when he didn't fire him going into this year. I think when you elected to keep Daboll, now that Daboll failed, he should be fired too. I think it should be a clean break, but I don't make the decisions.
Do you think he kept Daboll because of Jackson Dart?
I think he kept Daboll because he felt that Daboll was a good quarterback evaluator. He didn't know it would be Jackson Dart at the time, but yeah, I think that was a big reason why they kept him, because they knew they were going to be drafting a quarterback, and he had more faith in Daboll in terms of the quarterback evaluation than another head coach that he would be bringing in. That's what I think.
All I can say is, Joe Schoen, I know you're watching. Don't make me look like a fool. I look like a fool a lot of times, and I'm freaking going to bat for you like crazy, and I'm taking freaking strays for your dumb ass. So don't make me look stupid, because for some reason, I was pissed the other day and just said fire all of them. But I don't know, man. The more I think about it, I just, like I said, I just look at those 3 games we just should have never lost. And if they're 5-5, everybody's singing a different tune. That collapsed. That's not Joe Schoen's fault.
But Shane kept Daboll. That's my argument against that.
I get it, and I understand you don't like to alternate. We did it with we did it with Shermer and Gettleman, and they did it with Coughlin and Reese. I get it, and it didn't work. I totally understand it. And like I said, if they fire Joe Schoen tomorrow, I'm not going to pound the table and go, that was a mistake. But
I don't think he's a completely inept general manager. But I don't think he's perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
I look at it this way. 2022, he didn't have a scouting team there at all. So he came in brand new. He got there in January. 2023, the worst thing that happened to them was they won, and he had the 25th pick in the draft. So they couldn't even take a quarterback there. So they were kind of stuck with Daniel Jones because Barkley wouldn't sign a contract, and he had to tag Barkley, and he didn't want to lose Jones because they just won a playoff game. And there was a lot of shit that went on there in 2022 and 2023. His 2023 draft looks like crap because Deonte Banks he's not even playable. And Jalen Hyatt just can't get on the damn field. I'll be interested to see what Jalen Hyatt has going forward. Again, is this Brian Daboll keeping on the sideline, or is it Jalen Hyatt sucks and that's why he's on the sideline? We'll see what Kafka does with him if he plays him more. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see the game plan against Green Bay, especially with famous Jameson there. Dr. Garrett there was. Love you too, buddy. You can't I'm not giving him a pass. He is part of the problem too, but I don't think he's shit. He might be piss, but he's not shit. He's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know.
My take on Shane is, and maybe he'll prove me, I'll think differently next year. If we bring in a head coach and his talent looks better, then I'll start to think, okay, he's a better talent evaluator than I thought. But my thought process on Shane right now, and I think I said this a few shows ago, is we were so beaten down by Dave Gettleman that he was a decent draft evaluator, probably a better draft evaluator than Shane right now, if you look at the 4-year sample size for each one. But where Gettleman was so bad at the common sense things, so bad, drafting a running back second overall, the handling of the cat, like there's so many things that he did where you were like, that just doesn't make any sense. Shane's great at that stuff. He's good at the common sense stuff with position value. He doesn't overvalue positions that he shouldn't. He's good with the cap. He's good with extending players when he should. And I think because Gettleman was so bad at that stuff and he was completely inept as a general manager, I think I personally probably give Shane more credit than he deserves with those things, because any decent GM would know to do the things that Shane has done. That's my take on Shane right now.
If we could have just combined them, we would have been all set. The only thing I'll say about Gettleman is they say his picks are good. Now, Andrew Thomas was a home run.
Of course.
Dexter Lawrence was a
Xavier
home run.
McKinney was a great pick.
Yeah, but Xavier McKinney was a great pick, but them succeeding in other places, again, they were okay here, but they're better elsewhere. What does that tell you about the coaching here?
I think that's it. I think if you sat down and had a real conversation with John Mara, I think that watching Daniel Jones play as well as he is in Indiana is also a big reason why he said Joe created this nucleus of talent, because he's looking at all these other players go elsewhere and some of them were from the Joe Shane era. And he's like, what? They're all doing well there. What's the problem here? You guys told me for years Daniel Jones is inept. He's the problem. He's why we can't win games. And now look at it. So I feel like that's a big part of it. And the other thing I want to say real quick about Mara is I want to know what really happened with Shane Bowen. Did Mara force Daboll to keep him, or did Daboll say, we got to get this guy some more talent? Like we got rid of Xavier McKinney, we got rid of Adoree Jackson, we got rid of our corners. Tay Banks had a bad year last year. Like he needs some more help. And then the defense is going to be fine and we're going to be better at stopping the run. Because that press conference from John Mara in January, I was like, I don't know what the hell is going on here. But then you fire Daboll and you keep Bowen. Like when Bowen is obviously the bigger problem week to week, it's bizarre.
The Daniel Jones thing, whether it's fair or not, and I agree with Jordan. He says Jones was broken in New York. I agree. He needed to change the scenery.
I agree.
Whether it was fair or not, I think the Daniel Jones thing with Indiana played at least partially into Mara's thinking that the coaching's the problem here. And so I think that was a good point you brought up with Daniel Jones, because he sees him go to Shane Steichen and says, I brought Daboll in because he's this quarterback magician. And why does Daniel Jones look like a top 10 quarterback when he leaves the New York Giants? So that I think
he leads the league in passing yards.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Jones does.
It's just funny. It's just, you gotta laugh.
I said the same thing. I think that it hurt him. I said it last show. Daniel Jones's performance hurts. Seeing that, Drake May is the MVP if it's not Jonathan Taylor right now with a new head coach, and seeing Caleb Williams and the Bears 6-3 with Ben Johnson, I think it said we don't need Daboll, and we can get a better coach in here. Jackson Dart's got enough talent, and we don't need to connect them. I mean, look at what's happened with the other, those other two guys we just mentioned. So, H50, thank you, says the GM can do more damage to the team than a head coach. I mean, he can, but again, Joe Shane's not calling the plays of 5 minutes to go in the games when they have a 10-point, 18-point lead, or they have a 3-point lead with 18 seconds. Joe Shane can't control that. Those games should have been won. If we have, we have good coaching, they're 5-5. Nobody's talking about anybody getting fired. We're talking about how we've overachieved. Mm-hmm. That'll always be my argument for Joe Shane this year, is the talent's there. They're not getting blown out of games.
The talent's there for them to be a decent team. I'll agree with that.
Correct, but he's got to keep going. They have their quarterback now. Now it should be much easier.
Yeah.
To build around.
Should be.
We'll see. That's his job.
Yeah.
Like I said, Joe, I know you're watching. Don't make me look like a fucking idiot, because I do that good enough on my own. I don't need your weight too. Zach Attack, thank you, says, as a Giants and Knowles fan, I couldn't be happier. Go Big Blue and fear the spear. Obviously, Jameis, a former Knoll.
Yeah, great.
I'm going to be at FSU versus UF on Black Friday, or the Black Friday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. So Saturday, but I'm excited. Black Saturday.
Nice. Black Saturday. Small business Saturday.
Gators. Go Gators.
Small business.
How are those teams? They're not. Neither one of those teams is killing it this year, right? FSU and the Gators. Yeah, that used to be the biggest.
Gators fired their head coach, thankfully.
Gators are ass. They went through a couple head coaches.
They're really bad. DJ Lagway is tough. He's tough to watch.
I got that one. H50, thank you again. Daboll and Shane being friends hurt the team. I agree with that. Daboll didn't want to make Shane look bad by his decisions, and Shane didn't want to hold Daboll accountable. It doesn't help when you're friends. I agree with that. I'm not going to disagree. I think that's a good.
I think it could help, but when it's not going good, it doesn't help. Yes.
It's hard to just say
to have him and head coach that could work well together. It just didn't work out here.
SPP Williams.
Oh yeah.
He says, "Happy birthday, Chris! Happy birthday, Chris! Collective Day. Imagine we can trade, draft, and get free agents as needed. What kind of defense do you want to see next season?"
I mean, in terms of improvements, I want to get another Leonard Williams. I'm not saying
linebackers
and a middle linebacker. Yeah, and the secondary. We need help in the second. We need help all over. But I want to get stronger at the interior defensive line for sure. We definitely. I want the Giants to spend a high draft pick on a middle linebacker this year. I'm not saying it's got to be our first round pick, but no later than day 2. I want them to draft a
second round. We don't have a second rounder. That's right.
We don't. Is it
we do. We don't have a third rounder.
Yeah. But I maybe you trade up into the third if you don't take one in the second. But I want to take a middle linebacker relatively early this year. We need a young piece at that position that you could build with going forward.
Could you see the Giants trading back, depending on where they're going?
Definitely could see it. You definitely, like you said, depending where we're picking. But if the quarterback demand is high enough, I think the Giants should.
There's going to be some quarterback demand this year.
Well, you got the kid from what's his name?
Nussmeier. I don't know about Al.
Not Nussmeier. That's not what I'm thinking about.
Manning's not coming out.
He's having a great year. He's going to win the Heisman. Why is the name escaping me?
Oh God, I can't.
Talking about Carson Beck?
No, not Beck.
Miami? Because he was a Heisman favorite for a little while. I know that Clemson quarterback is hot.
No.
South Carolina's quarterback is a hot name.
Sellers.
Not Sellers. This is bothering me now. Mendoza.
Oh yeah, Mendoza.
I think he's gonna be the first quarterback off the board.
There's a lot of quarterbacks coming out though.
Yeah.
Who's the kid at South Carolina? It's like he's 20 years old. He's a tank and he runs fast. His last name Harbor. What the hell? I talked about him like last year. Nick Harbor. What is the guy's name, Adriana? You know, you're
you're not talking about the quarterback.
No, their wide receiver. Who the hell's their wide receiver?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. It is Nick Harbor. You're right.
Yeah, he's a
beast.
He's a beast. Maybe the Giants go linebacker first day or first round, and second day you get Nick Harbor. I mean, we'll see. Well, we got plenty of time to talk about the draft. We can talk about that from here on out if we want to.
We got to get a wide receiver though. Got to get a
like I said, Carnell Tate and Malik Neighbors will feed families. I'm good with that.
Yep.
Strong to Prosper Fitness. I always give a shout out to my gym rats. I appreciate you being here. He says, "Hey guys, I say if Daniel Jones wins the Super Bowl, fire Shane."
I mean, if Daniel Jones wins the Super Bowl, Shane could argue I signed him. Daboll didn't
Correct.
do the job. Like he could say I made the right decision extending him. Daboll didn't do the job.
Correct.
So true. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Colts Eagles Super Bowl.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I was just gonna hate on Daniel Jones. I'm not going to. You guys go ahead.
I'm not saying he's gonna. I'm just saying in that hypothetical, if he were
I'm gonna bite my tongue. That's it. I'm just gonna bite my tongue. We're gonna
have at it. Have at it. Somebody has to. I've been nice to Daniel Jones all year. So
he's not gonna win a Super Bowl, by the way. Let's just say that. But I'm just saying I was going along with the Super Bowl.
Okay.
He wouldn't beat Mahomes. It doesn't matter.
No one's convincing me that Daniel Jones is playing better quarterback than Jackson Dart. It's not happening. Dart's been playing better quarterback.
Jackson Dart's a beast.
Jackson Dart is better. Daniel Jones, I'm not taking away from him by saying he's a system quarterback. It's a good thing to be a good system quarterback. I know he leads the league in yardage. If you really watch the games, I just don't think he's game changing. I still don't think he's special. I think he's doing well in a good system. That's a Jonathan Taylor offense, and it's opened up everything for the passing game. I mean, what's the stat? He's thrown on his first read 88% of the time or some random shit. It's insane. Shane Steichen's just really good at scheming people open. I'll take probably still 25 quarterbacks ahead of Daniel Jones, and I don't care.
I'm
I
gonna say it
don't
right
agree with that, but I do agree that
I'm saying it right now. I don't give a shit. Jackson Dart's a top 10 quarterback.
I do agree that I'd rather have Jackson Dart. I do. But
Jackson Dart's a top
I
10
don't think
quarterback.
there's 25 quarterbacks better than Daniel Jones right now. I'll disagree with
Jackson Dart's a top 10 quarterback right now.
I think he could be for sure.
He is right now. Right now, with no scat, no neighbors,
There's a lot of good
Butterfinger Slayton, unable to get on the field. Hyatt,
playing great.
4'7" Wandale Robinson, and Dropsy McDropperson, Theo Johnson. He's still a top 10 quarterback. 17 touchdowns in 7 games at that he's throwing to. Come on, man.
I'd rather have him than Daniel Jones. I'm not going to dispute that.
We got our quarterback. I'm happy for Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm happier we got Jackson. I'll put it that way. J-Tech, thank you. Says, if we get a top 3 pick, should we trade back to a – I just said that.
Yeah.
I think that they should – I mean, it depends on what the quarterback demand is. But if the demand is there and you could get a lot to trade back, yeah, I think the Giants should trade back.
Yeah. If you can get back to 5 or 6, if you're picking, say, second, you can get back to 5 or 6 and get what Cleveland got from Jacksonville, and you can get Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, that's a win-win there. That's huge, you know. Pete, thank you again, buddy. Appreciate you. He says the head coach search is such a crapshoot. Proven winners may not find same success elsewhere. First-time head coaches can knock it out of the park. For Parcells was a first-time head coach and he got the job. Need luck. Parcells almost got fired his first year. He was 3-12-1. Parcells made a big-time error. These guys weren't even born yet. But he started Scott Bruno over Phil Simms and almost cost him his job. The Giants are absolutely fucking horrible. And then in 84, he changed half the roster, started Simms, then went to the postseason. The rest is history. Have it all Taylor helps.
You don't always work at your first spot. Your first spot. Belichick, the greatest head coach of all time, got fired from the Cleveland Browns. So a lot of it has to do with opportunity with the players on your roster, how well you collaborate with the general manager, the quarterback that you have. So there's more that goes into it than just the head coach.
Our buddy Carl Banks is the reason the Giants turned around. Let's be honest. He was drafted in 84. That's the last time the Giants drafted a linebacker in the first round. And in 1984, the Giants went from 3-12-1 to one of the best teams in football for the next 28 years. Glad I got to experience all of it because at least I have that. I feel bad. I always say it. I feel bad for the young fans that know nothing but losing. Enjoy your youth, but being old has its advantages. I remember when the Giants were a powerhouse in this league, and it was fun. James Senge says, am I jaded or does anyone else genuinely feel this franchise will always be dysfunctional regardless of the head coach GM with this ownership structure?
I think you're jaded. And I've become very negative in recent years.
He's young.
But I think you're jaded, James. Yeah, I think eventually it'll turn. All you got to do is look at the Knicks. The Knicks were horrible from 2000 up until for 20 years. They're one of the favorites to win the NBA Finals.
Played like shit last night.
Yeah. But still, they're 7-4. The New York Mets, another one. I mean, not that they were good last year. They were disappointing, but they were inept for, my whole life. And now they're one of the 4 or 5 favorites most seasons going into the year. So things change. I think the Giants will get back. When it'll happen, I don't know, but it'll happen.
He's young. He's got to be, because if you're young, you should be jaded, and I don't blame you. Born a G-Man, thank you, brother. Thoughts on Belichick as our GM fixes organization? No, he's old.
I'll pass. I saw that song and dance with the Knicks when they brought in Phil Jackson. Didn't work. I'll pass.
Yeah, I don't want. I listen. I loved Belichick, what he did for this organization, and I mentioned it last show. I think sometimes Giants fans hold on to nostalgia of guys that were great here at one point. That doesn't mean they're going to be great here in their current situations. Why Antonio Pierce is a popular name, and I'm not saying Antonio Pierce would be like a bad defensive coordinator, but I don't think I want him as the head coach just because he won a Super Bowl here. It's you know what I mean? So I think sometimes you get nostalgic for teams that were good, but it doesn't necessarily going to translate to them being good now. Belichick fits that mold to a T. He's got his chick that's quarter of his age, and I don't need 75-year-old Belichick. If you wanted to give me 45-year-old Belichick, I'd take him in a heartbeat.
Give 7 first-round picks for 45-year-old Belichick, but not current.
Okay. It might have been worth it at the time. I don't know. The hell knows, Where are we? Nerf swag cool chat. Woo! Judge AL MVP. I did win it. Yeah! Fuck you, Cal Raleigh. Oh, Cal Raleigh should win it. There's no way in hell. I'm not going to get into the baseball thing. By the way, A-Rod's second part of his documentary is tonight. You want to check it out? No way in hell a 247 average guy should fucking win the MVP. Aaron Judge is the third guy in the history of Major League Baseball to win a batting title, hit 50 homers in the same season. Test my baseball knowledge.
I agree. Judge should have absolutely won it, but I will say what Riley did as a catcher, pretty friggin' impressive. But
That's
I agree.
great. He hit 247. Good for you. You're not the MVP. You're not Judge. Get the fuck.
Should have won the MVP. I agree with that.
You
know, the Mets have never won an MVP in their entire franchise existence.
Maybe Soto will get it this year.
Really?
Never won. The Mets have never won an MVP. They've come close. Beltran was very close in 06. Piazza was close in 2000, but they've never won an MVP.
They're not going to with Ohtani still around for a while.
Oh,
back to back too.
Probably not.
When he probably will win the MVP as well. He should. I mean, 55.
He did.
Oh, he did. I didn't know he did.
Back to back. Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Well deserved. The two of them.
Judge went back. Judge went back to back too. Then right, he was MVP last year too.
Yeah. I saw an ESPN alert that said it was like the first time that the AL and NL both had back to back MVP winners.
Sweet. I like that. It just helps my rookie cards skyrocket. Love that. WJ, thank you so much. He says, I still don't understand Daboll's fall off from 2022 to now. Does anybody have an idea what happened? Like we were rolling in 22, no momentum after.
I
discussed that earlier in the stream.
It's happened before. It's not like it's never happened. All you got to do is look at our little brother, the New York Jets. I've made that comparison several times. Eric Mangini, host of the town his first year with the New York Jets. He took a team that nobody expected to win more than 4 or 5 games. I think they won 9 or 10 games his first year. He was being labeled the man genius. It became the new trend to steal from Belichick because of Mangini's early success with the New York Jets. 2 years later, he was fired. So it happens. In the NFL, it happens.
Zambic. Nando, thank you, buddy. He says, great show, guys. Thanks for continuing talking about the Giants. We thank you for being here. We wouldn't be talking about the Giants if it wasn't for the best freaking chat and fan base out there. So we appreciate you. He says, happy birthday, Chris. Do you want to date my grandma? I love you guys. Jesus.
I mean, Nando, maybe if you're 10, maybe if you're like 8, but
right?
Yeah, not if you're like 20. No, I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. Chris ain't that old. I mean, I'm not even that old. Shit, let's go. Jaden, thank you so much. If we have a top 3 pick, would you want to trade back? We talked about that before too. Depends on who's out there and what you get, but it's definitely probably on the table for sure. JP, thank you. Says, to your point about coaching, Mara probably looks at regression of last year's draft and puts that on coaching. It's true.
It's fair.
They regressed a lot. Even Deontay Banks regressed a shitload from his first year.
Mara literally, I mean, I wish I had the statement in front of me, but he literally basically said, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but he basically said Shane's done a good job in terms of the player evaluation. I don't see where anybody's getting, unless I know wishful thinking you may want him fired, but with the statement that Mara said, I can't see Shane getting fired after that. I'd be stunned.
Well, the reason why people think it's still possible is because even though he said Shane will start the head coaching search, maybe he said lead the head coaching search, he did say that Shane has developed a young nucleus of talent. He didn't explicitly say Shane will be the general manager in 2026. And that's something that people thought should have been included in that statement, was a definitive statement saying Shane will be here in 2026. Because that was omitted, there are insiders and other people who are speculating that it's still on the table for him to be fired at the end of the season if the train completely comes off of the rails, which isn't outside of the realm of possibility. What they're trying to see is, will a new coach breathe new life into this team? Will they hold on to those 10-point leads? Will they start winning these games? Is Shane going to be proven right that this is a talented enough roster to close out those games and win those games? Or do they continue to lose those games? Do they now get blown out all of the time for the rest of the season? And then all of a sudden it looks like Daboll was actually holding things together. And then if that's the case, you're probably cleaning house. So I still think everything is on the table since he didn't definitively say Shane will be the GM.
And he didn't extend him either. So,
well, yeah, right. I think that was something that they would do in the offseason. But yes, I agree. If he doesn't get an extension quickly into the offseason, then they may fire him. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not gonna be upset if they fire him. I actually think that's the right decision right now. But I'm leaning they're not gonna fire him.
Dean, thank you so much. He says, I just don't understand keeping Shane. We're 4 years into this, and the roster is full of holes, mainly due to his own poor drafting. I'm lost here. Again, I'll go to bat for Joe Shane. I don't know what he's supposed to bring in. He came in here with a team that was dreadful. He had no cap space. The cap was an absolute fucking disaster. He signed Dexter Lawrence. He signed Andrew Thomas. He had, how many draft picks do you have? 30? You're not going to hit on all your draft picks. Again, the first year, he didn't have his own scouts. The second year is drafting 25th. And the last 2 years, I felt like he's got a lot better. Doesn't excuse him. He's not been perfect. But it's hard. It's not like baseball where you can just spend all this money and fill all the holes you need. And baseball's only got 24 guys on it. Football's got 53 guys, man. You can't just fill all these holes in 1 or 2 years, especially with the salary cap. It's very difficult to do. So to me, I feel like, again, Joe Shane's trajectory, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, it was going this way.
I agree it's going that way, but it's at least partially going that way because it was so bad. His second year in particular was awful. But I agree it's going up. But is it going up enough? Is the question.
John Michael Schmitz got better this year. I think he did.
He got better.
Deontay Benz is a lost cause. I don't know what happened to him because his rookie season he looked horrible. Right? His linemen were bad. Azudu was bad. McKeithen was bad. That was bad. There's no question.
I think his best moves are Burns. That's his best, and Jackson Dart. Those are his 2 best moves. Burns,
Neighbors was good. Scadabu is good.
Neighbors, which was a no-brainer, but still great pick. But in terms of like a non-no-brainer, the trade they made for Brian Burns looks incredible right now. They didn't give up a first-round pick to get him, and the Jackson Dart pick. Those are his two best moves.
No, I think Neighbors was also good. Look at Neighbors, Scadabu.
Yeah. Illuminor was a good signing.
Yep. So even Runyon's played better. I mean, the line actually looks. I looked at the offensive line rankings. We're actually in the top half of. When the hell was the last time that happened? The offense looks like legitimate. Like this is without Scadabu and freaking Malik Neighbors and a rookie quarterback, and it looks competent.
That's what's so disappointing to me. Like, how is the defense so bad that for once the offense is actually scoring consistent points? We've been talking for 2 years at this point that we couldn't do that. And now we can do it. And the defense is like, nah, we don't care.
Exactly. It's just so screwed up. Dean, thank you, buddy. Anthony, let the Jones hate flow through you. Anthony, go.
No, I'm biting my tongue on it. I said my piece earlier.
25 quarterback. It flew right through.
I was definitely being listen, I was being hyperbolic when I said that. That was the hate flowing through it. But I still don't think that he's much more than an average to slightly above quarterback. He's not playing at an elite level, in my opinion. And like I said, right now, you give me a game tomorrow. Who do I need to be my quarterback to win that game? I'm taking Jackson Dart over Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'm not arguing.
I'm not even talking about long-term potential. I'm talking right now. I think Jackson Dart's playing better. Yeah,
I agree. Okay. I agree. Like I said, Jackson Dart's a top 10 quarterback in this. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
He really is incredible.
Get him another. He didn't even have a number 1 wide receiver. Just get him like Neighbors back. And like I said, add a Cardinal Tate and watch him feed families with those 2 guys and Scadabu and Tyrone Tracy. And if Theo Johnson can ever catch the fucking football, you have something. We talked about this last stream or last show. Draft Cardinal Tate, Malik Neighbors, and fucking take Hyatt and put him in the slot with those 2 guys outside. Do that. Kafka, put Hyatt in the slot. Thank you. We know they watch. Analysis, thank you, says, do you know the Pats' strength of schedule is a ridiculous 363?
I didn't know it was that bad, but I knew that they beat up on a lot of bad teams. Their best wins against the Bills. They're losing right now to the Jets early, first quarter, but the Jets are up 7-0.
Oh, I forgot that game was even on.
Yeah.
If any team's strength of schedule is lower, it's got to be the Colts.
Probably
that's
Colts.
My last one. I'm done.
The Colts could be Denver. Denver alone probably raises their strength of schedule.
They have the best.
That team's fraudulent too, though.
Yeah,
I agree. I totally agree. They're not a good 8-2. The Chiefs are going to end up going. Watch. It's.
I agree. If I was
Chiefs Eagles.
Right
it's
going
to be Chiefs Eagles.
I picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl right now.
The Eagles are going to get fucked up by the Lions this year.
Yeah, let's go.
I don't know, man. They keep finding ways. I keep thinking that they're done, and then
Detroit's hungry.
Let me look at the NFC. I mean, on paper, I think Detroit's the most talented.
Rams are good too.
Stafford doesn't get enough MVP buzz.
I know
Yeah.
it's hard to
Seattle's
like
good
see
too.
Sam Darnold going to a Super Bowl, but how about Seattle? I feel like Seattle is very legitimate. Like they've had
And
some
they're
impressive-
underrated.
For sure.
they've had
Yeah.
some
Oh, by
impressive-
the way, speaking of Matt Stafford, Joe Shane wanted Matt Stafford. Does that give Joe Shane a bump too? Well, of course, you wouldn't have Jackson Dart if that was the case. So I'm glad we didn't end up with Stafford. He just belongs in LA.
yeah.
Well, they
Real
might have had
Prince.
Dart.
But that's
They might have had,
I guess we
yeah,
could
they
have.
might have had Dart because they took him at the end of the first, and they said even though they would have traded a first potentially for Stafford, that they might have still drafted a quarterback anyway. So we might have.
True. They would have needed to at that point. Real Prince, thank you, buddy. He says, "What up, crew? I'd be content if we just bring John Gruden and link him up with Kafka. Fee fi fo fum. I think Daboll and Hyatt in his own personal doghouse. He's not less good than Ray Humphrey or Collins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what they do with Jalen Hyatt now. I am.
I'm not.
Maybe Hyatt just sucks, or maybe Daboll had some thing going on with him.
I pray Hyatt proves me wrong. I thought he sucked going into the year. I still think he sucks, but I hope he proves me wrong.
We'll find out. I mean,
I have no interest in watching him play.
no, Anthony. That's the one. That's the one time I really saw Anthony get pissed. Maybe smile. Maybe one dude, he's fucking catch the ball. I'm like, yes, I knew it's.
I'm excited for. I'm actually.
All
excited.
of them have that inner bad dog. Adriana's definitely let it out on this show a few times. The rants have been fantastic. I know they're there. Chris, it's hard to bring out of Chris, but once in a while you get it from him.
Once in a blue. Daniel Jones draft pick. You got it.
Yeah, Daniel Jones draft pick. I actually put on YouTube there. I'm not on YouTube, on Twitter. I said, do you guys know? Do you know or subscribe to my YouTube channel? I can't tell how many people said, yep, since Daniel Jones. Since Daniel Jones. Anyway, we appreciate your generosity. We ran overboard because of your incredible generosity. Thank you so much. That brings us to the close of another edition of Giants Collective. As always, want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors tonight. Doer, Manta, Sleeper, and SeatGeek. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. You can catch us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. You can check us out on TikTok and Instagram as well. So with that said, for Adriana, Anthony, and Entertainah, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Go watch the Jets and Patriots. And they're playing the Patriots, right? I got that right.
Yeah.
And check out the Air Rod documentary part 2. That's what I'm going to be watching. And we'll see you next week. Take it easy and we out. Peace.